I'm gonna need this diaspora war to wrap up by 11:59 tonight. Thank you. Because, for one, every time a diaspora war happens on Twitter, it reminds me how little people in the diaspora know about Black Americans. Y'all are getting your information from Zeus. Y'all are getting your information from Love and Hip Hop. Y'all are getting your information from YouTube and Housewives. That's where y'all getting y'all information from. None of those platforms represent Black American culture within the slightest.
Yes, Black Americans are the blueprint of Black people, honey. Get it together.
And this is why when people say you look American, it could never be a compliment. Because this girl just said, Black Americans are the blueprint of Black people. How? When you literally get BBLs to look like African women, it doesn't make any sense. Number two, y'all didn't popularize Tyler, actually. She's very authentic. Every interview she goes to, her accent is potent. And people ask her, where's this girl from? South Africa. She popularized herself. You just mad that she's famous. Number three, Tyler's challenge water was popular in South Africa and y'all decided to participate in a South African trend and now you mad because it went viral? The same way you're trying to do that sana ni na dance with the shoulder and you're not even doing it properly because it was a family thing and you decided to participate. You're like doing this thing of taking African ideas, bedazzling them and putting a twist and then wanting to name them American so that you can say you're the blueprint. You are not the blueprint. A lot of your ideas already exist in Africa. You'll just switch it up and call it culture. I think the word she was looking for is influential. So that means you influence people into wanting to do the same things as you. But blueprint means I came up with the idea, which is kind of crazy. An example of this is them wearing locks and putting a lot of beads on and waist beads and skirts and calling it the Earth Girl aesthetic. You just look like an upcycled, colorful sangoma, if we're being for real. Y'all are the one diaspora that tries so hard to separate yourselves from your own people. And I understand it's probably out of trauma. But if you don't want to associate yourself with African and Caribbean people, that's cool, since you think being American is such an achievement. At the end of the day, over there, they can still kill you for your skin color since you think that's a trophy. But here in the motherland, you're always welcome. So the hate is one-sided, not from our side.
I just seen somebody from South Africa say, what exactly is our culture? Like, I don't know, maybe ask Burna Boy. I think that has not originated from the continent of Africa is Black American culture. Unless, obviously, you're in another country. Let's talk about D9. Let's talk about shore riding. Let's talk about Cowboy Carter. Let's talk about cowboy culture. Let's talk about NAACP. Let's talk about the Civil Rights Movement. Let's talk about Black American history. Let's talk about soul food. Let's talk about Southern heritage. Let's talk about cotillions. There's a lot of things in Black American culture that you probably, half of those things you probably don't even know about. Let's talk about HBCUs, the big one. Let's talk about them. And a lot of those things you probably don't even know about. And the fact that you can sit on this internet and say that Black Americans don't have a culture is literally insane. So again, it reminds me that a lot of y'all know nothing about our culture at all. You can have your criticism when it comes to that parade, but to talk about Black Americans like we are not the reason a lot of y'all African artists are coming over here to make money, let's cut the BS. Let's cut the BS. And a lot of people like to say, oh, well, we got to leave Black Americans behind. How are you going to leave people behind that you haven't even caught up with?
Help me understand this. So, y'all know how we don't like when non-Black people talk in the Black accent, right? Especially a Southern Black accent, because that's the thickest Black American accent is a Southern accent. Not East Coast got thick accents too. It's pretty strong accents, but Black American Southern accents, that's us. You know, we don't like when non-Black people talk like that, right? Okay. Now, let's say if the person is Black, right, but they're not Black American, they like Nigerian, Jamaican, Honduran, you know, they not Black American, and nobody in their household talk like them. They mamas don't talk like them. They daddies don't talk like them. They cousins, they sisters. You know, they the only person that has that accent. Isn't that the same thing as a non-black person faking an accent? Help me understand this, because I'm just really trying to understand this. Please. I'm not trying to tag nobody.
I'm so sorry. I just wanted to give this apology video very impromptu. I'm sorry to my skin bleach my South Africans. I know that you guys were upset at my last video. Yeah. Now I know that some of you, I don't know how many of you actually had the internet to be able to make those comments, but I'm sure if someone didn't have the internet, that they still would be able to use somebody else's phone, you know, because it's a village. And I know some of you also are having to deal with some other issues because you're having to, you know, share some land. You know, here in America, we don't usually have to bargain with white people in terms of sharing land. You know, we had redlining and stuff like that, but I know that that's something you guys are having to deal with. Exhibit A.
Donated money to the effort, and it's just owned by a company. So Orania is private land, but Orania is one of the only systems in the country that I know, maybe the Ingonyama Trust is the same way. It's a combination between private and public in the same system, and that makes Orania very unique.
This cannot be what I think it is.
This is Barren Karoo, my friend, and this is changed into a runway, and we hope to change it into a proper area. What about Shaka Zulu, celebrating him? Is that fine for the Zulus? Or Dingaan? So it's part of their history. And even though we had massive wars in the Great Trek, I grant them their right to celebrate the people of their past. And all the same, I think Afrikaners have the right to have a statue of someone from our past. And internally, in our nation, in our people, decide how we interpret that.
In 1991, a group of Afrikaners led by Professor Karl Boshoff, son-in-law of former Prime Minister Hendrik Verwoerd, founded Orania in South Africa. They legally purchased land on the banks of the Orange River, ensuring full ownership and control.
So you guys enjoy your neighbors. You know, I'll enjoy mines. The ones of many different colors. And, you know, we'll just leave it at that. All right, put the skin bleach down. You guys have a great day.
So I made a video a few days ago about the overhyping of people when they participate in Black American culture. And I've been getting a lot of good responses on TikTok and on X. But you do have a few people in the comments trying to prove, or very adamant about proving, the blackness of the female in the video. Now, she's very white passing to me. And I'm sure if I thought that, I'm not the only one that thought that. If she do have a black parent, that's fine. But it still don't negate the fact of the points that I was making about the white praising or the non-black praising when people are participating in our culture. And no one can negate that fact. I even remember when we would have our school dances and stuff. You know, you would have little Javier and little Cody. You know, they started doing some of the dances, and all the little black kids would just jump around them and start hyping them up and, you know, really putting the extras on it. And even back then, I used to look at everybody like, what the hell are y'all doing? That's it's kind of weird, bro. And when you think about it, ain't that weird? That one drop rule, it's really kicking everybody's ass right now, I ain't gonna lie. And if we know race is a social construct, that means the one drop rule is a social construct also. Just because someone has a little bit of melanin in their skin doesn't automatically make them a team player, alright? And times are different. We really are getting on code about standing on lineage business and about standing on cultural business. And all of you, what they call cultural pygmies, you're going to either get hip or get shit.
I think a lot of y'all are living your delusion. I get it. You want to be proud of your culture. You want to be proud that you weren't kidnapped and enslaved, and you lived in South Africa all your life, or you lived in Congo, or you lived in Nigeria all your life, and your parents were brought over here for the American dream, or you know what I mean, or your ancestors weren't enslaved, so you can be enriched in the culture. Like, I get it. I'm happy your ancestors weren't enslaved and you were able to live there freely. I get it. But baby, you can't make me feel guilty about anything that I cannot control. Granted, it was hell. Black Americans, we've been through hella back, but baby, you can never sit here in my face and say that we're not the most influential people in the world. You cannot sit here and say that. You can't. You can't. And I get it, you know. I get it. I get it. You know, you may think that we feel like we're superior, but we never said that. All we wanted was equality. You felt like you thought that we were superior. You felt like we're superior. But no one has never said that. The only thing that we wanted was equality. And yet, y'all over here are making these assumptions, which is rooted in jealousy. Like, as I stated before, and I will state it again, if you're Black and you're American, stop arguing with these people. You know what it's rooted in. And granted, like I said, the criticism for the Zulu parade, it was fair. That parade is weird. I've never seen that parade. I don't know what that parade is from. I don't know what that parade is about. But I could understand a culture being offended by that parade. I get it. But baby, don't bring us all in it, okay? You just gotta pray for New Orleans and keep it pushing.
Of course, it is going to be someone with black in their name. Let me ask you something. Are you not American? You think the American flag is not your flag? What is your flag then? You're not African. Do you have a passport from one of the African countries? No? What you guys like to do is to pick and choose what you like while hating being an American whilst you enjoy American privilege. Imagine the hypocrisy. And it's always y'all starting with the word black in your username. You know why you have that word in your username? Because you hold pride in your skin tone. You want to be treated special. You don't want equality. You want special treatment. And I'm guessing you support DEI and affirmative action and CRT. Am I warm? And yet when an immigrant like me comes to this country, loves it more than you do, I raise my children to love their country too, you can't stand me. It's because I know what it means to be an American. Right now in Kenya, the president is torturing people. The Kenyan president right now is a dictator. And guess what? They don't have the freedom of speech that you have, that I have. They don't have the right to protect themselves. They don't have the Second Amendment. What do? You cry victim. You say there's racism in America while you're being racist. Claim you're oppressed while you're living in the most privileged country in the whole world. So spare me. Your flag is the American flag. You don't like that? Go to a different country, become a citizen there, then fly their flag. Respectfully. Unless, of course, you mean the BLM flag, you know, the Marxist flag, the communist flag. Yeah, you can have that one.
Bro, I done had to wham bam these people for 2 days and they wasn't ready. They was not ready, brother. They did not know that Black Americans be on that thug shit for real. We don't give a fuck about you. We don't give a fuck about you. They like, oh, y'all are arrogant. Y'all are kid. You damn mother right. You damn bitch. You guessed it. And honestly and truthfully, the shit that they be saying be cracking me the up. Like, these was like, we're on our own land. Y'all were slaves. Yeah, we still ended up in a better country at the end of the day. we still ended up kind of pulling it out at the end there, you know. So shit paid off. Cause these act like they wasn't colonizing shit in their country. Like, you in a country where the white folk had y'all doing all the labor, building all the shit, and they was sitting up there chilling, collecting the mother wealth and shit, and telling you what to do in your house. Like, in your house. It's not like you were taken to another country where you didn't know where the hell you were, where you didn't understand the language and where you ain't had no help, no numbers, no nothing. Like you was outnumbered and shit. Y'all didn't go through that. So at the end of the day, it's like, okay, all right, cool. And we damn sure ain't begging to be in other people's countries. We not begging to be in other people's countries. We ain't getting kicked out of countries. Like, we over here chilling and shit. And so the whole thing with them people funny. Them people funny as then they come and they start cussing you out in a different language. And I'm like, you do know that we view that as cowardly here, right? Like, you do know that we view your ass as scary. We view your ass, we view that as clown. Like, because if you're gonna talk tough, right? If you're gonna talk tough, you need to walk that shit, right? We respect that big Tony shit, but they ain't on no big Tony shit. they damn on some wussy cowardly. Like, okay. We can't even say they courage the cowardly dog, because courage would be freak out and then shit up. No, these motherfuckers just whine and cry in your conversations in another language. They just be jibber jabbering and shit. And it is crazy too, because they don't understand the concept that we don't want to know your language and we don't care to know your language. And I feel like they be like forcing a connection. Like, stop trying to force this shit. Like, I don't want shit to do with you. Leave me alone. Like, I don't need to know where I come from. I don't need to know what part of Africa I come from. I honestly and truthfully don't give a, because it don't change my life. It don't make no difference in my life in any shape, form, or fashion. I'm from Orlando, Florida.